I think so. Good morning, everyone. We'll go ahead and get started with the Tuesday, November 18th meeting of the Transportation, Energy, and Utilities Committee. Let's start with introductions, starting to my left with Mr. Delaney.
Bill Delaney, Mayor's Office.
Brandon Russell, Council Research.
Harla Shell, Office of General Counsel.
Edward Linsky, Council Auditor's Office.
Philip Peterson, Council Auditor's Office.
Ken Amaro, City Council, District 1.
Reginald Gaffney Jr., District 8.
Jacoby Pittman, District 10.
Will Lane in District 3.
Matt Carlucci at Large, Group 4.
All right, good morning, everyone. We'll go through the agenda first, and then we'll do public comment if we have any. A pretty light agenda today. Item number 1, 2025-0782. We'll do a public hearing, open and close. Then we have an amendment, and then we'll move the bill as amended. Item 2, we'll do a public hearing, open and close, and then move it. And then we have 3 bills in a row that have to do with collective bargaining agreements. That's item 3, 2025-0806, 2025-0807, and 2025-0808. I see Mr. Norman in the crowd who is available for any questions we may have. And then only one item on second reading, and I believe this item is actually going to be deferred due to Planning Commission. So we may have a meeting next time where we actually gavel in. And if there are no presentations, we gavel out. So with that, do I have any public comment cards? Okay, and Mr. Oliver, you want to speak on a bill, so I'll wait until we get there on the agenda. So we are going to start on the agenda. Item number 1, 2025-0782. I'm going to open the public hearing. I do have one card, Mr. Oliver. Please keep your comments on this bill.
Yes, my name is Carnell Oliver. Address is on file. I want to say that I'm very supportive of the Henry Bradley Firefighters Museum. It honors a black man that served this community. But if I take the contents of just not only him, why are we not looking at naming more significant heroes in this community like Nathaniel Ford, not Nathaniel Ford, but Nathaniel Glover being named on the Main Street Bridge as one of our prominent leaders? I think that we're in a situation right now where the political culture is getting so divided that we don't understand the significance of local heroes in this community that represented us for who we are. But if you do that, you still have a structure of oppression still in place. The obstruction of oppression is the Andrew Jackson statue. And then on the back side of the main of downtown library, you have a sign up talking about Andrew Jackson. The city was named after Andrew Jackson. That is completely disrespectful in my eye. Because as a black American, I did my DNA. My family goes back 175 years in this community. Yes, we did not originate here, but they are freedmen. And as a freedman, I have to speak to qualities that represent me. So if you're going to name a museum after a black man, you got to name other prominent leaders that facilitated opportunities for us to find our own justice. This may be symbolic to me, but I could use it as a tool to push this city forward. The conversation of Andrew Jackson statue and renaming Main Street Bridge after Nathaniel Glover has got to be had. I have not had a conversation with Nathaniel Glover about something like this, but it's a clear opportunity. At that time in the 60s, when we was completely oppressed, we have got to start honoring the fighters of black American communities now. Give us our flowers while we're still living. And if I close it out, I want to know who filed the legislation to put that sign up of Andrew Jackson up on the back inside in that dog park on the other side of the park, right across the street from the downtown library. I want to know who filed that legislation. Accountability must be measured by a strong sword. And I yield my time.
Thank you, Mr. Oliver. I have no more speaker cards. I will close the public hearing and ask for a motion on the amendment.
Move the amendment.
I have a motion and a second on the amendment. All for the amendment, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Amendment passes. I got a motion and a second on the bill as amended. I have no one in the queue. I'll note that I did add myself as a co-sponsor. It's just not reflected yet. I'd also like to recognize Councilmember Dr. Johnson, who has arrived. With no one in the queue, open the ballot, record your vote. And we are on item number 1. Councilmember Johnson. Did you vote?
Yes, ma'am. I hit yay. Maybe hit it again. Okay.
6 yeas, 0 nays.
By our actions, we have passed 2025-0782, and I'll recognize Councilmember Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Colleagues, and thank you for recognizing me as well. I wanted to thank you, colleagues, for voting for this piece of legislation. I know it was debated in other committees, and I went to committee as well. While she's here, and I may not get a chance to say it council night, thank you so much through the chair, to Cherry Pollock from the Office of General Counsel, and the great work. We've been working on this for probably the better part of a year, and to get all the research done to make sure that this was the right thing to do. So I'm very thankful for this. And last but not least, Councilman Carlucci, thank you for making sure to hold our feet to the fire. One of the questions he had was, wait a minute, are we changing the name of the street without having specific details and understanding why we're doing those changes? And so we were very intentional about this, and also making sure, and you caught that, we were a little bit wary, but the initial legislation was only the portion of the street that's closer to the river. We fixed it. It's good to go. But thank you, everyone, and thank you for honoring this hero. We'll never know how he looks, but we can certainly thank him for his sacrifice. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Johnson. We're on to item 2, 2025-0805. I'm going to open the public hearings. I have no cards, so or do I have a card? Okay. I have no card, so I'll close the public hearing. I got a motion, a second on the bill. I have no in the queue. Open the ballot, record your vote.
Six yeas, 0 nays.
By our actions, we have passed 2025-0805. Item 3, 2025-0806. Can I get a motion? Move the bill. I got a motion, second on the bill. I have no one in the queue right now. I do have Mr. Norman. Do you want to give us the brief overview? I think a lot of us, like myself, have talked to you about these bills individually. But if there's anything you want to say before we vote. But again, I have no one in the queue, and I know it's already been through a committee.
Yes, sir, and thank you. And through the chair, my name is Todd Norman. I'm the Chief of Employee and Labor Relations at the city. I'm also the lead negotiator for the city with our 5 unions. And today before you have 3 bills. And I'm here to ask for your support to pass those collective bargaining agreements of AFSCME, CWA, and LIUNA. Those 3 unions collectively represent about 2,600 of our employees, everything from solid waste to library professionals. After about 10 months of very engaged, at times difficult bargaining, I'm excited to say I think we've reached employee-friendly and city budget-friendly contracts. A couple of the highlights I'll point out, wages. There are wage increases in all 3 years, 4% in year 1, 3% in years 2 and 3 respectively. We addressed an issue of parking, which was a big one for the unions as we entered bargaining. Parking downtown, $60 to $100 a month is a lot for somebody on the lower end of the wage scale, and we have about 1,900 people assigned downtown. We agreed to a quarterly supplement of $60, which more or less pays for 1 month parking for employees that are assigned downtown to a permanent work location. So that was a big one. We also talked a lot about the lowest paid workers at the city. By Florida statute, the city needs to move to $15 an hour by September 30th of next year. And so each year we've been ratcheting up the minimum wage by $1. And unfortunately, the city has about 200 employees that each year have been impacted by that. When Amazon is starting at $23, $24 an hour, I'm disappointed to say that we still have folks at that level, but we agreed to move forward the implementation of $15 an hour. We'll now implement that on April the 1st of 2026, so 6 months early. So that was certainly a big issue. I will also mention one of the more important issues we addressed in this bargaining, and more credit to our unions that this wasn't just one-way bargaining. We addressed healthcare, specifically the high cost of healthcare and how we can help the city's health plans. The unions agreed, so right now, limited by contract, if the employee is not in a no-cost plan, they pay 5% of the total premium. The city picks up 95%. That's in the contract. The unions agreed to allow us to move that number up to 30% by the end of the collective bargaining agreement. A significant change, but again, credit to them for understanding and learning about our plans and what we need to do to make them right moving forward. It doesn't force the city to move that number up, but it gives us latitude to do so. And just by reference, each 5% is about $15 a pay period, or about $390 annually. So those are the major highlights. Again, appreciate your support. I'm certainly here to answer any additional questions you may have.
Thank you. I have noted in the queue, and I actually found out in my conversation with Todd Norman, we both worked at CSX and had some great stories of union negotiations. So I appreciate all the work that you and your team did to get to where we are here. Councilmember Amar, you're recognized.
Just very quickly, I had a conversation with Todd over this a few weeks ago, and congratulated him on his efforts. One of the things that he just stated that pointed out so clearly to me was the true spirit of negotiations, where labor brought to the table alternatives to just raw dollars in salaries. And so just my life experience, I'm one of those who know that when you're negotiating contracts, when you can't get the money that you desire, sometime an enhancement in benefit will go a long way to make happy employees and produce a very good contract. So congratulations for the work you've done.
Thank you, Councilmember Amar. One last comment. Again, we're not the Finance Committee, but I do want to just point out that there is a cost associated with this. If you recall, when everything was said and done with the budget, we had a projected budget deficit next year of $62 million, which is actually better than where we were this time last year, looking at this following year. The UF land swap legislation we approved last council meeting, that reduced the deficit by $5 million, but then this adds another $10 million into next year's deficit. Again, not a doomsday scenario because we're still looking at a lesser of a deficit next year than what we had this year, but just wanted to point that out, and I'll say the same thing when we get to finance. With no one else in the queue, open the ballot, record your vote. And if I may, just as a member of the Finance Committee, I'll once again remind people that we were presented a budget with a $90 million 5-year deficit, and when it left Finance, it was reduced to $80 million. So again, what City Council approved reduced the 5-year cumulative deficit projection versus what was originally opposed. Item number 4, 2025-0807.
6 yeas, 0 nays.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got ahead of myself. I heard a comment I had to clarify. So, by our actions, we've passed 2025-0806. Item 4, 2025-0807. Can I get a motion? Got a motion second on the bill. No one in the queue. Open the ballot. Record your vote. Doing it again. I'm having the same thing. It is not turning green for me when I press it. Oh, there it did. I am a yay.
6 yeas, 0 nays.
By our actions, we have passed 2025-0807. Item 5, 2025-0808.
Move the bill.
Got a motion and a second on the bill. I have no one in the queue. Open the ballot. Record your vote.
Six yeas, 0 nays.
By our actions, we have passed 2025-0808. Item number 6 on second read. As I mentioned, this is the only item on second read, and it's going to be deferred to the Planning Commission. So we will have no agenda items. To my colleagues, if you had any ideas for a presentation, this would be a great time to get it scheduled for our next TEU committee meeting because we will have nothing else on the agenda.
Shell. To the chair, for some reason I thought Councilmember Boylan had requested a presentation by We Care or someone. Anyone recalls that?
To Councilmember Amaro, I don't believe for this committee. Maybe
Okay.
that sounds like a neighborhoods type item.
Okay.
But again, as far as I know right now, I have no pending presentations that have been requested, but we have 2 weeks to think about it, or probably less than that if we have anything else that falls under the domain of the TEU committee. I'd be happy to do that. Councilmember Johnson, you're recognized.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, we talked about it before, but wanted to let you know that I'm still not. I'm working on high speed. For everybody, that what do you call it? Broadband? Not broadband. What do you call it? Fiber. There was a fiber presentation. We talked about it before. I don't have all the. I'm not comfortable with the presentation yet. So once we have it all, we'll bring them in, and that way we can, it'll be a presentation we can look at. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Johnson. I have no one else in the queue, but I do want to recognize Councilmember Carlucci to share some information for the committee.
Chair, and if I may diverge from the subject real quick, and Councilman Rockman Johnson probably knows this, but there was a big study done on high-speed fiber optics done about 21, 22 years ago that I commissioned, and you might want to check that out. It's got some good stuff in it. Okay, good deal. Thank you. Mr. Chair, I just want to say this committee lit a fire under me a little bit at our last committee meeting when we were talking about the Main Street Bridge. And I heard so many comments from everybody here. I remember what Councilmember Amaro said, and I think everybody, Councilmember Pittman and Gaffney and you and Councilman Johnson and Councilmember Tyrona Clark Murray, I think she said Jacksonville just wouldn't be Jacksonville without the Main Street Bridge. And I left here thinking, that we ought to be able to do something to designate it somehow as something more than just our Main Street Bridge. And so being familiar with, over the years, designating local landmarks, I thought about doing designating it as a local historic landmark. So I called Carla Schill, because she does the local historic landmarking for the Jacksonville Historic Commission, and she quickly said that wouldn't be a very good idea. And as soft-spoken as she normally is, when she spoke up that quick, I thought, oops, I may not be on the right track here. And she was right. I was not on the right track. But I called together a meeting, and I asked Carla to be there, and of course my council aide, Corey, Public Works, our historic planners, and a young man named Brett who has an interest in history. He works for the TDC. Anyway, and what we landed on was the Aramis with the historic planning was the idea of putting it on the applying for a national historic landmark for that bridge. And so we did some research on the idea, and it actually was already eligible to be put on the National Historic Registry, the National Registry of Historic Places. Is that what the name of it is, through the chair to Carla? Maybe you can expand on that a little bit.
Sure, through the chair to the committee. Councilmember Carlucci had the desire to honor the bridge, and intends to file legislation to list it on the National Register of Historic Places. And I can answer any other questions if you like.
Well, they may have some questions for you, but let me just say this. The bridge is the John T. Alsop Bridge, but it's always been referred to as the Main Street Bridge. John T. Alsop Jr. was the longest-termed mayor that we had. He was mayor for 14 years. He was out of office, and he went back for another 4 years, so he was mayor 18 years in Jacksonville. And if you go and look at the bridge, you can still see where Carnegie Steel, which was a old, he was a tycoon of the steel industry, is still on lots of the steel pieces there on the bridge. It has still the original divots. It's the largest vertical lift bridge of its kind in the state of Florida. Certainly, it's played a critical role in Jacksonville's history, and it was already eligible to be listed on the historic National Register of Historic Places. It was the logo for the Super Bowl. I tell you, ever since everybody here was talking about the Main Street Bridge, it seems like I can't go anywhere without seeing a postcard or something online with the Main Street Bridge on it, the Blue Bridge. And so I just thought, with the excitement that this committee had, that I kind of had been missing out on the excitement because I've been used to seeing it my whole life. So I took some time to make a few little notes here of what the benefits of it could be, and I won't take long. But what it does is it puts our Blue Bridge on the official national map, and it helps protect the bridge when major projects are planned. It opens door to grants and preservation funding. It can encourage heritage tourism and downtown vibrancy. People are not going to come here just to see our historic bridge, but when people come to Jacksonville, if they take the historic tours that we have available downtown, it certainly can now be plugged in as a piece of our history, as a piece of our story. And because it fits right in our story of the North Bank and the South Bank and all of those type of things. It supports local education and civic pride because we certainly have a lot to be proud of. But the big thing is the Main Street Bridge is a big, big part of Jacksonville's history. And so I got with everybody that I could, and we are putting together an application to send to, where will we be sending that to, through the chair?
Through the chair, that goes to the State Historic Preservation Office.
Okay. And goes to the State Preservation Office. And if it's approved, our Main Street Bridge will then become a national historic landmark. And I think that's something that we can all be proud of. And I got the idea from this committee, and I wanted to pass along. And I sent out a copy of the bill to everybody, and I'd love to solicit anybody who would like to be a co-sponsor, a co-introducer. Which is a co-introducer or is a co-sponsor through the chair?
Through the chair, I circulated it to you all and asked you to respond just to me if you're interested in co-introducing. If you wanted to alternatively just be a co-sponsor, that would be fine too, and let me know. Okay.
Mr. Chair, I'll stop there because I could go on and on and on when we start talking about history. But I'm real excited about it. It's just something that I think is going to be fun, and it's going to add a bit of identity. It's going to add to Jacksonville's identity and our uniqueness in our role in our history of our country and in our state. Thank you.
Councilmember Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Councilmember Carlucci, thank you for your diligent work on this. I know something that the conscience of the council, as we so affectionately call Kinamaro, said something about, is the bridge going to be blue? And you said it again, and that's the beauty of this. Like it is certainly an iconic piece of Jacksonville history, and to be named. And by the way, did you know Mayor Alsop served 7 terms? And even though it was only 18 years, the terms were different back then. So it's just as you go down the rabbit hole of exploring the city, I think it's really, I do a lot of placemaking and renaming and those kind of things because I think that's a link to the history. So I want to thank you for that. I look forward to co-introducing this with the council member and pushing this forward. And I hope that the world sees what we already know, how wonderful and historic our city is. Thank you.
Thank you. I have no one else in the queue. I do have 2 questions. And I think you said this, Councilman Carlucci, FDOT is completely fine with this, correct?
Yes, sir. I placed 3 calls and went up the ladder of, the chain of command. And when it got to the very top, they were okay with it. They will not sponsor it. They own the bridge, but they don't need to sponsor it. We're going to sponsor it. They will sign off on it, though. So I got to tell you, I was a little nervous about going because the DOT, they're very rigid, as I think everybody knows, because they have books of regulations and they have to stick to those regulations and so forth. They don't want anything impeding their ability to do work on the bridge and maintenance. And that's where Ms. Schill was correct. The local designation could have impeded that, but the national will not. But it'll give us a designation that we can take a lot of civic and community pride in.
Thank you. You actually answered my other question I have, so I would like to be added as a co-introducer as well. Please just get on the queue and add yourself. Ms. Pittman? So Ms. Pittman wants to be a co-introducer. Councilmember Gaffney wants to. Or you already are. Okay. Okay, great. Ms. Pittman, no one else in the queue. Last chance. Anybody else? If not, we will adjourn. And Councilman Carlucci.
Well, I'll try to make this quick, and I want to be careful, and if I'm off base, you can cut me off if you want to. No worries. I want to say something. I want to be careful with it. This is the only committee I'm on, so it's the only venue I have to share this. But I just want to say, as somebody who has served on this council for a long time, we need to be very careful when we bring to the forefront, when we hear things over the phone, and that gets translated into headlines about, for example, telehealth and Telescope. I was appalled at what I have seen in the newspaper. I looked in the Jax TDY today, and I could not help but feel really bad for them because so far as I know, they're very good people, and I've had very good luck in working with them. And all of this has happened, and now we got a subcommittee, and I watched the subcommittee while I was in LJ on vacation last week, and these accusations of fraud, illegal activities, having to use subpoenas if necessary, that is very inflammatory language, all from hearsay on the telephone. And this council has a reputation to keep. And sometimes we mess it up. Sometimes I've tripped up and felt like I may have hurt the reputation of this council. And I don't want to do that. But sometimes I can't say I'm 100%. But something like this has gone over the cliff. And I just think, and I hope those council members who may be watching this on TV, if any are, the DOJ committee is taking on responsibilities that are really the responsibilities of the Rules Committee, of other committees, of TEU. And we should not allow for if we want to keep DOJ, fine, let it look for inefficiencies. But we cannot let it become an investigation committee in place of what the Rules Committee is designed to do. And if you go back and you read the rules of the council, you'll clearly see what those those responsibilities are. what are the responsibilities of the Finance Committee? Which is what I've heard Councilmember Johnson say over and over again. So this is the only place I have. I'm not asking for you to feel sorry for me, because when I get up here, I'm going to come back and I'll be at Finance Committee. And what I'm saying will probably just get me further. I don't know if they can put me any farther back. Maybe I'll wind up in research. I don't know. And I don't really give a darn. But I got to tell you, the institution of the City Council is something that's important to me. It's been important to my family. It was important to my father. And my father helped draw up the rules that are still in use today. And over the years, the Rules Committee has done the job of what the Doge Committee is doing. And now they got a subcommittee where the chair of the Doge is now chairing the subcommittee. And I guess that's okay, but it's a deep dive investigation over hearsay. And I got to tell you, that is of great concern to me. And I look at those doctors that are trying to administer this program and thinking the headlines that they're getting, how it must be affecting them, how it must be affecting their their families, how it must be affecting the employees of these organizations. And it's almost like they're guilty before they've even had a chance to speak. And oh, by the way, they did not have a chance to speak at the last Doge meeting. That was, in my view, not fair. That's just me. They were there. They were prepared to speak. They were not allowed to speak. And if you weren't on that committee, you were not allowed to speak. And Councilman Borland, who was there, who has been deeply involved in these critical care issues of telehealth and telescope, he had no chance, no opportunity to say a thing. They just put together a subcommittee, and there's talk of subpoenas, illegal, fraud, and I'm just thinking, and these poor folks don't have 1 second. And they had an hour and a half set aside for the meeting. So I'm calling it out. I don't care. I've got to where I don't care anymore, except for one thing. That is our consolidated government, which isn't perfect, but you show me a government that's better, and I'll be with you. I care about the reputation of this council. I care about how people are treated. And anytime I've seen people get treated unfairly up here, I have spoke up, even if it was a council person that I had been at odds with. And that goes back to Councilmember Leanna Cumber. I was at odds with her many times, but I saw her get treated very unfairly when she was running for mayor. Actually, at the same time I was. We are better than this, council. We are better than this. And I just implore the city council to start putting our kin amero conscience and finding it in our heart and being careful with what we do. And if we find trouble, then we go after it like we did the JEA. But folks, this thing that we're talking about with telehealth, it's no JEA. I'm in the insurance business. I understand what they're doing. I know that this is going to be a tempest in a teapot. But meanwhile, people are really getting hurt. And I say that with all due respect. I don't mean anything mean by it. I'm just pouring my heart out about something that I care about, and that is this body. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Carlucci. I'm going to shift gears, and I want to end it on a lighter note. So we talked about how John T. Alsop was the longest-serving mayor at 18 years. Mr. Russell, who's been the longest-serving council member? I'm wondering if Councilmember Matt Carlucci has that record.
I do. No, I don't. Can I say who it is?
You may say who it is, Councilmember Carlucci.
It's one of my very best friends in life, whom I love with all of my heart, and I believe it is Warren Jones. Warren Anthony Jones. 28 28 years.
Wow.
And, by the way, he is the first, I think he's African American. Well, don't laugh, because not all blacks are African American in their background.
Yeah, that's.
No, I'm just telling like it is. And but two-time council president, only black two-time council president, and made great hit. Well, okay,
Councilmember Amaro, you're next. Now, I'm going to start the clock. I also got to be at a thing in my district at 11. So you will not get the 9 minutes I allowed Councilmember Carlucci.
I know you're trying to gavel out, and I'm ready with you. As Councilmember Carlucci was speaking, I remember this quote from Churchill that says, "Truth is incontrovertible. Malice may attack it, ignorance may deride it, but in the end, there it is." So I guess whatever the process is, we're in a vacuum of allegations and innuendos, and so things like that will happen, but truth in the end will exist.
Last speaker, Councilmember Johnson.
Like we said, the conscience of the council. I just want to put this on Warren Jones, and thank you for that, Councilmember Carlucci. The first is interesting. I did the research on this. I know Councilwoman Pittman, look, I know you did. Warren is the only back-to-back council president, and he was the second African American to Earl Johnson Sr., whose picture I keep in my office, by the way. Yeah, good stuff. We have some wonderful history on this council. Thank you for bringing that up, Councilman Carlucci, and thanks for letting us end on some levity and a smile, Councilman Lehner.
With that, we are adjourned.